Are you a lifelong fan of General Hospital?
Are you a new fan who wants to know more about the history of the show?
Do you enjoy talking about the show with others?
Do you find yourself yelling at the TV?
Is your self-care an hour a day in Port Charles?
If so, we invite you to join hosts
Amanda Kimmel
and Shannon Coach at the place where all the hidden conversations take place and secrets are revealed.
Meet us at Pier 54,
a General Hospital fan podcast. Hello, welcome to the Port Charles 411. Today, we are discussing how people are getting the jobs that they have in Port Charles.
It's a magical land over there.
It is. It really, really is. And kind of what prompted this is Kristina's sudden acceptance into UCLA medical school. And we're still not sure if she ever graduated from college. So,
but shockingly, as we read through these, she is one of the more realistic chances of that happening than the other one. So
yeah. So we're going to cover, and again, show's been on for 63 years. There are probably plenty of examples of.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I just did the ones that we've kind of been complaining about recently.
Yeah.
And I Googled it, and then I checked out Soap Central and Wikipedia and all that, and just kind of, I figured we were going to talk through it more though than just reading it. So it's not.
But it's good to have statistics and data.
Yes.
You want to get us started?
It need to be true. Sure. So we're going to start with Nathan, who was deceased for 7 years, which is not at all realistic as far as anything goes.
In general.
Right? Exactly. So before his true identity as Cassius Faison was exposed, he had been operating as Nathan for about 6 months, stepping right back into the detective role shortly after his appearance in September.
Well, he's still doing it.
If a detective was missing and legally presumed dead for 7 years, they are no longer a detective in any official or legal capacity. When a court issues a presumption of death declaration, the person is treated by the law and their employer as deceased. If that detective suddenly returns alive, their status must be completely rebuilt from the ground up across 3 specific areas. And this I loved because we have so many people die and this is not what they do. So I like that it told us this is where you have to start and then you're going to end up here. So first, there's
I want to meet the judge that does all of these.
Right?
Oh my God. Jason, again?
That would be such a fun job, even in real life, to be like, I'm sorry, thought you were dead, huh? Why? I need more information.
What about the people that process the witness protection program paperwork? I wonder how that process goes. Because I would imagine that not one person cannot know all the details. Like, I would imagine that they handle like sections and they don't actually have a name.
Yeah, I can't Google one more thing for us today because by the time that I want to take over my husband's Congress seat because he had a stroke. I was waiting for Google to be like, girl, are you okay? Like, what is wrong with you? You've been dead for 7 years. Now you're taking on going to medical school and now you want to be a congresswoman. Like,
listen, you're ambitious.
Maybe you should take one of those job placement, like where would I fit best tests, and then come back to Google is what I was waiting for it to say. So anyway, there's a legal resurrection where before the detective could even think about police work, they must legally come back to life. A judge must formally vacate the declaration of death, and without an amended death certificate and a restored Social Security identity, they cannot be put on a payroll, carry a firearm, or legally execute police powers. Then there's the police certifications. In almost all jurisdictions, law enforcement credentials automatically expire after a long gap in service. State Policing Commission usually decertify peace officers if they are out of service for 3 to 5 years. After 7 years, the returned individual is entirely decertified. To get their badge back, they would have to apply for a reinstatement of certification, pass a physical, psychological evaluation. I know they did have Nathan
mention something about a psychologist.
Yeah. Exam, yep. And likely attend a refresher or full police academy course. And then as far as
some laws has to have changed. I mean, I do annual litigation for real estate. I have to do continuing education because things change and you need refreshed.
Yep.
Some law had to have changed in the past 7 years that
absolutely
he needs to be like, hey, dude, this is, by the way, we used to let this go. Now we don't.
Right? Exactly. And then there is the employment and rank. Because they were marked as deceased, their job no longer exists. The slot could be filled, so their position in the detective bureau would have been filled years ago. Life insurance / pension. The department has likely already paid out line of duty death benefits or life insurance to the family. Resolving the finances must happen before rehiring. I don't know
How do
how
they
much.
do that? They
I don't
can't
know.
have to give the money back.
I don't know. I don't know how much Maxie got. Like, I don't remember that being part of it.
I
And then,
don't either, but I hadn't thought about any of that.
mm-hmm. And
Oh
then
my
starting over, departments are not legally obligated to give them their exact rank back. If rehired, they would typically be brought back as a patrol officer and would have to earn their way back up to the detective bureau.
It's like FMLA on steroids. You know,
Right.
we just have to promise you'll have a job, not necessarily the job.
Yeah. After 7 years, we don't have to promise you anything. I'm sorry, sir. You are entitled to nothing.
So then Kristina, who is becoming a medical student out of nowhere, it's unlikely but possible.
Mm-hmm.
So she has a very scattered academic background, and also it had to do with the different Kristinas also, because at one point it was the mob princess was when she was at school and stuff like that. But she's leaving, or has left now, Port Charles to attend medical school to go to UCLA. And over the summer, she is shadowing somebody before classes actually start in the fall. So I'm just curious too, like if that's even a possibility before you even step foot in day one med school, that you would be shadowing someone.
I think that you can, just from the description that this further goes on to give, that it makes it sound like that's something that they want to see. So if she had a connection, that was actually a realistic thing to try to throw in there.
Okay. So what we know of her complex educational trajectory includes multiple stops, transfers, and expulsions, which she's older and more mature now, so I'm sure, but there probably would have had to have been. You want to explain this one to us? So what we know of her educational background is she started at Port Charles University. She transferred there and took business classes, where she once stated that she was working towards an MBA. So that means she has to have a bachelor's.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good. She went to Wesleyan and studied pre-law. Sorry, I don't think she started at Port Charles. I was starting at the bottom and going up because it ends with UCLA, but whatever. So she studied pre-law, but was expelled and suspended after a scandal in which she solicited a professor for a better grade. However, she did not. It was perceived as that, and that was actually a relationship she was in.
Yes.
Right? Like that's,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And then she went to Yale and was initially accepted to study pre-law, but dropped out after word spread that her mother, Alexis Davis, had mob boss Sonny Corinthos pull strings to get her admitted. And ironically, this was before College Gate. What was that whole thing called? Oh my gosh, the college admission scandal.
Yeah.
With Felicity Huffman and Lori Loughlin and hundreds of other people. But like those are the two most prominent. This was before, like a decade or so before that happened. But that was also mob princess Kristina. And now we have her going to medical school, and she's been accepted and left Port Charles June of 2026. So to attend the David Geffen School of Medicine at UCLA, you must meet their foundational eligibility rules and demonstrate academic mastery through a competence-based admissions model rather than a rigid list of required courses. So life experience matters.
Right. Exactly.
Okay. I'm liking this.
It makes it a little bit believable. Yep.
Okay. So hard eligibility requirements, a bachelor's degree from an accredited U.S. or Canadian institute, and you must complete at least 3 years of undergraduate coursework before applying. So we know that she has her bachelor's because she was working for her master's.
Right.
Citizenship must be a U.S. citizen, permanent resident, or DACA recipient. UCLA does not accept international students on an F1 visa. And you must take the MCATs within 3 years of applying. So she could have been working on this for quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
And the AAMC preview exam, the professional readiness exam. And then recommended course competencies. UCLA does not strictly count your exact number of biology or chemistry classes. Instead, they evaluate where your transcripts prove mastery. I like that.
Yeah.
So either biological sciences, chemistry and physical sciences, mathematics, biomathematics, statistics, computer science, or matrix algebra, or humanities and social sciences.
Mm-hmm.
I would have gone with the last one.
Right.
So if you're mapping out a traditional pre-med track, completing 1 full year with labs in biology, general chemistry, organic chemistry, physics, math and stats, and English covers these bases safely. And then the admissions profile and holistic requirements, because UCLA has a highly selective 2.8 acceptance rate.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning the bare minimum is rarely enough. So they use a holistic review process that expects academic excellence. So there's no official minimum for the GPA or MCAT, but the average matriculation holds roughly 3.96 GPA and a 522 MCAT score. I don't know if it's 522 or 522. I just remember whenever we did SATs, it was like 1120 or something like that. You know, it wasn't 1,120. So that's why I said it that way, guys. Okay, I'm not sitting for the MCATs. Also have clinical experience, hands-on exposure to patients through shadowing, hospital volunteering, or working as an EMT/scribe, research experience, so familiarity with scientific method via structured lab research or academic publications, and letters of recommendation. Who did she get to do her letters of recommendation?
That I don't know, because I was thinking like Lucas would do it now, but she hadn't told him that she even started. So
yeah. So you have to have received strong evaluations from professors and clinical supervisors who can speak to your maturity and leadership.
That's the part she might have had a hard time getting.
I feel like there has been a lot of growth in the past year or two.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like there's probably not a lot of people that would sign their name to, I'd let her cut me open.
Right.
So as a non-traditional applicant with strong state university background and high MCAT score, you're in an excellent position to leverage UCLA's competency-based holistic evaluation process. Because UCLA values diverse life experiences, your non-traditional path can act as a major asset if you meet their baseline requirements and structure your narrative correctly. So being a mom boss's daughter,
It's life experience.
So just mandatory prerequisites and validation, like they have to verify your degree, they have to verify your MCATs, make sure that you actually took them, the preview exam, and the 2 application limit. So be aware that UCLA strictly limits candidates to 2 lifetime application attempts. Ensure your profile is completely optimized before clicking submit, which feels like it's online. So I guess they don't take the universal application now. And then tailoring to UCLA's outstanding physician and framework. So they're always looking for people who will become an outstanding physician and something more, such as an advocate, educator, scientist, or innovator. Okay, I could see her doing that.
Yes.
Okay, and because we're having this problem that she was voted out of the board of her own foundation.
Right.
But she's been saying that she's been working in it lately. So that would fulfill that piece of like that life experience stuff that they were talking about beforehand. So there would be a science competency check, clinical and volunteer longevity, and letters of recommendation. And some application metrics to keep in mind. This just kind of reiterates, while UCLA states they have no hard GPA or MCAT cutoffs, in reality, 1.4 to 2.8 acceptance rate dictates highly competitive metrics. So a GPA of 3.6, competitive threshold for interview is 3.7, unless life experience is exceptional. And the MCAT is 500. I'm going to say 522 now. I'm just changing it up.
All right.
To get an invite for the interview, they might go down to a 514. Okie dokie.
So like, felt like she was halfway to everything. You know what I mean? Like, you have this life experience, but this kind of counteracts it. You have this education, but you changed around a lot of different universities. So I feel like depending on who's looking at it and how high those MCAT scores were, Did she ever say the number? I don't think so. I think she just did
didn't,
really
but she
well.
just kept saying she did really, really well and that she
Yes.
was very surprised. But
Right.
I
So,
wonder if they also ask, like, where else did you apply?
right?
Because she said that she got into others.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that
Yeah,
helped UCLA pick her because if she got
maybe.
accepted to others.
Right. Right. If other people want you, then you're more hot commodity. All right.
Yep.
All right. And then
Not
that brings us
totally out
to,
of the question, but
right.
not common.
Right, exactly. And then I moved on to Lulu, which hers also, so I'm not agreeing with what the internet says her experience is as far as life goes, but the academics, there's not a ton, so she could be okay. So Lulu Spencer's journey to become a journalist and writer stems from her fearless investigative Spencer DNA and her background of growing up around mobsters, mystery, and globe-trotting adventures. Yeah, I don't agree with any of that. While she lacks a formal degree in journalism, her natural curiosity and relentless drive to uncover the truth naturally paved the way for her writing career. Lulu's transition from a rebellious teen to a writer unfolded through several key experiences in Port Charles. Her natural instincts. Her journey into the mainstream media began when she recognized her knack for digging up secrets, a skill inherited directly from her iconic parents, Luke and Laura. I don't agree with that.
Don't bring them into this. I mean, obviously we're going to, but
Yeah, don't agree with that she has natural instincts, but okay.
and she wasn't around when they were doing a lot of that stuff.
I
Like
just
they toned down when she was a baby. I guess Luke kept it up for her life.
sure. I just yeah, I don't agree. But whatever. Her investigative reporting, she made her mark as the chief investigative reporter and staff writer for The Invader and Aurora Media, which I still don't know how she got that, but okay. High stake exposure, she famously wrote articles exposing mob and Cassadine ties to lure dangerous villains, proving that her life experience provided all the material she needed to be an aggressive journalist, and also got Nathan shots. So
Killed.
yes. And then her recent work, following her awakening from a 4-year coma, she has continued to pursue reporting, recently covering human interest and community pieces such as adoption while rebuilding her life. To become a staff writer for your local newspaper, you need to prove to the editor that you can find local stories, interview people accurately, and meet tight deadlines. Because modern newsrooms operate with lean budgets, they rarely hire based on a resume alone. They want to see published work known as clips. You could break into your local paper by taking the following systematic steps. Build a portfolio of clips. Editors will not hire a writer without proof of the writing ability. You must create a portfolio. So you can start freelancing. Look up the email of the local paper city editor. Send them a short story pitch about an undercover local issue, a unique neighborhood business, or a town event. Write community pieces, offer to cover local nonprofit events or town hall meetings, which she has done. If the editor accepts your pitch, you will get your first paid or unpaid freelance clip. Start a local blog or newsletter. I am so shocked that she does not have a blog that she is like committed to every day.
That's what I was just thinking. Like, that would have made sense because what got her hired was the fact that she wrote out about cheese. And we're struggling so hard to find. We need to find when that happened. So, but because I mean, she did work at Crimson. So she worked in a publication. And I'm not saying like you have to have a writing degree or a journalist degree. Some people
Right.
are naturally, that's fine. She's not one of them.
No.
And to be given such a big, it's not like Kate had her starting with writing the captions for the photos and then little blurbs on the photo shoots and saw her. That would have made so much more sense.
It would have. So if you have no published clips, you could start a free Substack or blog covering your town's hyper-local news. Treat it like a real job to showcase your initiative. I'm just surprised she doesn't have one.
Just like when people start podcasts with no experience.
Sometimes it works out. Master core journalism technical skills. A staff writer does more than just type. You must master the mechanics of daily reporting. Learn AP style. Newspapers write using Associated Press style rules. Buy an AP style book and learn how to properly format dates, titles, and numbers. I feel like she wouldn't have done that even. Practice reporting basics. Learn how to write a hard news lead, the first sentence answering who, what, where, when, and why. Practice interviewing sources and transcribing quotes accurately. I don't know how
Mm,
accurate she is.
mm-mm. She is not objective. She
Right?
lacks the ability of staying neutral.
Yep. Develop multimedia skills. Modern local journalists are expected to be multimedia journalists. Editors favor candidates who take on crisp photos, record basic audio for podcasts, and understand how a story is distributed on social media platforms. And then you should pursue an education or internship, which she didn't do any internship either when she was younger, right?
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
While not always strictly required for small weekly papers, formal credentials significantly boost your chances for daily publications. A bachelor degree in journalism, communication, or English provides a strong foundation in media law and ethics. Internships. Apply for a paid internship at a newspaper. Many local papers use internships as an extended tryout for open full-time staff writer positions, and then apply for the position. Once you have those strong published clips and a solid resume, monitor the job openings in your local media group. I feel like she just walked into Aurora and was like, give me a job, or to the newspaper and was like, here I am.
Oh, we don't
And
know how she got the job now. Like,
right?
we
She
know that
just started.
she said something. Well, but then also she was working for the Beachview Banner
Mm-hmm.
and then somehow came over to the Port Charles. And it's like, well,
Mm-hmm.
when did you switch?
So I'm thinking that this next part is where she's going to have been hooked up. It says to target entry level roles, which I do not feel like she has done. And then leverage your connections because you have been pitching the editors freelance pieces. You will have an inside track when a staff position opens up. I feel like she's definitely leveraged her connections.
And
And
there's nothing wrong with that as long as you are qualified.
true. And then I did put in there, like, hey, I was in a coma for a few years and I'm trying to get back to writing to see what it would tell you to do.
Great.
And it says returning to writing after a medical hiatus is a common path, and your previous articles give you a major advantage because you are not starting from scratch. Local editors value real world experience, maturity, and resilience over a continuous, unbroken timeline. To bridge the gap in your resume and secure a staff position, focus on a strategy of re entry and refreshing your portfolio. And then it just goes on to say that you want to own that gap professionally, that you don't need to share private medical details with the editor, but you do need to frame the gap briefly and professionally on your resume and cover letters. If you use the resume formula of grouping your previous articles under a freelance or independent writer heading, you can just use a simple line on your cover letter if you feel it's necessary, like after taking a necessary leave to manage a medical matter, I am fully recovered and returning to the field and ready to commit to full-time work. But we never saw her talking about trying to get a job or
Mm-mm.
revamping her resume after 4 years or writing a cover letter. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then you'll also want to refresh your clips immediately because media landscapes change quickly. Editors will want to see what you can write today. Use your past articles to prove your foundational skills, but write something new immediately to show you are currently active, which I do feel like that would have been the whole adoption storyline.
Mm-hmm.
She did really jump right back into it. And then re-engaging versus freelancing, the fastest way to get back into local newsroom is through the freelance door. Contact the city editor, reach out to the editor of your local paper, send them a play email attaching one or two of your best articles along with a link to your new refreshed piece. Pitch hyperlocal ideas, offer to cover small local events that staff writers are too busy to attend, like high school board elections, neighborhood anniversaries, or local business openings, which I don't feel like she's done any of that. Like hanging out at
Especially
Charlie's
Mayor's
isn't really
daughter. She should be there at like the ribbon cuttings and stuff.
right. Yeah, I
Yeah.
I don't remember her being at any of those as a reporter. Like, she was at the different bars and stuff, but not writing up pieces on them, at least not that she's discussed. And then build the pipeline. Once you successfully file a new freelance story on time and in proper AP style, you will be the first person the editor thinks of when a full-time staff writer position opens up. So again, the education part isn't, because it's not 100% necessary. It's not completely like, oh, there's no way she could have this job, but I don't know how she continually has the best jobs ever, enough to pay for that house and support her children.
She didn't have a house when she got, or she didn't have a job when she got the house. Her mom
Right.
bought that for her.
Like, but they don't say that. And she still has to pay the everyday bills. So I'm not sure how.
Is she though? We don't know.
Sure. I mean, Valentine's not paying child support. He's on the run. And I can't
Dante
imagine.
probably is.
I can't imagine he's paying that much to support 2 kids and herself. I don't believe so. But whatever. Maybe. I don't know. Your turn.
I mean, he's probably not covering for Charlotte. So she got hired in 2018. Peter hired her to go to The Invader.
Oh, okay. But Peter would have been with Maxie.
He probably manipulated that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, he wouldn't have been with Maxie because he's who got her to write the thing about Faison.
Oh, right. Okay. Sorry.
So
I'm jumping ahead on their storyline.
No, I know. But I think that he probably manipulated her desire to do something. I guess I can't think of how to say it, but like he saw it and he was like, oh, here, I can get you to do this. So next we have Drew. And you started with media owner to congressman. However, he was also military to media. True. And we don't know why.
His, I feel like, also is out of these last 3, which are him, Willow, and Chase, his is the most believable.
Okay. So Drew leveraged a unique blend of military heroism, corporate leadership, and sudden elite family rebrand to launch and win his successful campaign for Congress. While his political critics view him as a slick, empty suit with a dark side, his background provides the perfect resume for voters. So he does have a history of being in the military. He was a Navy SEAL. He was a former chief special warfare operator in the Navy SEALs. He has an established history of saving the day, including helping to disarm a bomb at General Hospital, and joining a faction that saved the world from the villainous Victor Cassadine. The survivor narrative, Drew survived a major assassination attempt by Peter August and was held captive in a Greek prison before returning to Port Charles, making him a compelling figure of resilience to the electorate. And in corporate leadership and media power, Aurora Media CEO, he co-founded with Sam. But so Aurora Media owns Crimson and the Port Charles Press. Drew provided his executive capabilities and sharp understanding of public relations. And his business acumen is that he holds voting stock and has served as the head of security for the elite corporate empire ELQ. He was head of security?
That's what it said. I don't know if you get points for that, though, when it's your family company.
But security is a big deal. I don't feel like the Quartermains would put someone in charge of security if they were not qualified.
True.
And having the Navy SEAL background, I bet, is what really solidified that. And so the Quartermain pedigree, the name change. He changed his name to Drew Quartermain because he was born, he's Jason's twin. And then his political strategy was recognizing the immense political weight of the family name. His political mentor, he met him twice.
Right.
Larry McConkey advised him to pivot. Drew legally changed his surname to Quartermain specifically to entice voters and establish instant credibility. Is that really a credible name?
Right. I don't know that I trust the Quartermains.
We love the Quartermains, but I feel like there's a lot of stuff.
Right.
And then his elite campaign backing, Nina Reeves. Nina served as his aggressive campaign manager, using her public relations savvy to shape his narrative. Oh, shoot, we should have thrown her into this too, because she was also in a coma and randomly came out.
Yep, I'll do that next time.
Okay, and then the McConkey endorsement. Drew originally ran for the seat, being vacated by retiring Congressman Larry McConkey, who personally endorsed Drew as his successor before passing away. So despite his sketchy personal life including insider trading prison stint and scandalous affair with his nephew's wife, Willow. His public-facing image as a wealthy, decorated veteran from a legendary local dynasty propelled him all the way to Washington that he never goes to.
Unless he takes Wiley and Willow with him when he's not supposed to.
Having the formal recommendation and backing of a sitting state lawmaker is a massive political advantage. So he leveraged Nina kind of is really who set up a lot of this too.
Right.
In state politics, an endorsement from an incumbent provides you with instant credibility, introductions to key donors, and access to their established volunteer network. However, endorsement alone does not put you on the ballot or win the election. To successfully run for a seat in the state legislature, either the House or the Senate, you must secure 4 distinct pillars. So you have to have legal and constitutional eligibility. So you have to be at least 21 years old, and you must be a registered voter and reside in your state for a specific amount of period, like a specific period of time. And you have to be a U.S. citizen. For balloting access, to get your name printed on the election ballot, you must navigate your state officials' Bureau of Elections requirements. And this has a very strict timeline. So you have nomination petitions that you have to gather a specific number of valid signatures. And I think that they did do that.
Mm-hmm.
A signature buffer, always gather double or triple the minimum required so that just in case, because the opposing campaigns will hire lawyers to challenge your petitions line by line to try to get you thrown off the ballot. And filing fees and statements, you must file formal candidate registration forms and pay a state filing fee and submit a mandatory statement of financial interest to disclose your income sources and prevent conflicts of interest. Do not remember that one.
Nope. Maybe that's what's in the secret safe.
And also, after you just went to jail for insider trading within a year, political party and grassroots support. While the incumbent congressperson supports you, you must win over the broader local political ecosystem. The county committee, you need to present yourself to the local county political party infrastructure. Like your party has to buy you.
Right.
Like accept you, not buy you, but like accept you.
Yes.
And local stakeholders, the people that you're going to be representing also have to back you.
Yep.
And campaign infrastructure and funding. A state legislative race requires professional operation, even at the local level. So you have to have a campaign committee, and it's a legally registered campaign committee with your state's campaign finance board and open to dedicated campaign bank account. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense. Core team, you cannot run alone. You need a minimum, a campaign treasurer who is required to track donations and expenditures, and a campaign manager or field director to coordinate logistics. And I would imagine they can't be the same person. And seed money. State legislative races can cost anywhere from $50,000 to over $500,000, depending on how competitive the district is. You must immediately build a call list of potential donors to raise enough money from mailers, digital ads, and lawn signs.
That's crazy.
So yeah, I guess his is probably the most realistic.
Right. And then that brings us to Willow. Oh, I like what you changed from Congresswoman, a breakdown of her background and trajectory to Washington. I like that is like a 2020 headline there.
You want to read that again? Because I laughed over it, so I don't know if it might not have come through.
It was great. Willow Cain, from cult to Congresswoman, a breakdown of her background and trajectory to Washington includes medical and educational roots. Willow started as a school teacher before shifting to healthcare. She completed training in the Nurse Shadow program and worked as a nurse at General Hospital. Charity work. Her political ambitions were sparked when she began volunteering for the New Tomorrow Institute. And we talked about this whenever we did all of the stuff with her and Nina and everything like that. Mm-hmm. A charity focusing on bone marrow donors, stem cells, led by Drew Cain. The congressional seat. After Drew Cain initially ran for the open congressional seat, a sudden twist resulted in Willow being elevated to his position in Congress. And then to help her run her office, she's in the process of hiring Harrison Chase as her chief of staff. And this is where I thought Google... Right. And this is where I thought Google was going to ask me if I lost my mind, because it says you cannot automatically assume your spouse's New York State legislative seat. Under New York Public Office Law 42, vacancies in the New York State Assembly or State Senate can strictly only be filled through a public election. Neither the governor nor the legislative leadership or the mayor or some random bad guy has the constitutional power to appoint an interim successor or pass a seat directly to a family member. Furthermore, suffering a stroke does not legally remove someone from office. There is no automated trigger to vacate a seat due to a medical crisis. If your goal is to succeed your spouse, now this did go specific to Albany. I just said New York, but I think that it wanted to give me some good facts. So if
I mean,
it
that's
was
the capital,
specific,
so
right, in Albany, you must navigate a specific legal, medical, and political pipeline. You have to establish an official legal vacancy. So, because of the stroke, that is not a legal exit. The seat remains occupied until one of two things open. He needs to voluntarily resign. And if he's unable to do that, because in this case he can't speak and whatever, then there needs to be legal guardianship. Blah, blah, blah. I
but
can't
he
speak
can. He
today.
can blink yes and no. So they should have
True.
had somebody
Maybe is that
official come and say,
right? If he's there
Drew,
of
do
present
you wish
mind.
to vacate your seat? If they are trusting him with yes and no,
It says they must submit a formal written resignation letter to the presiding office of their chamber. So I don't know if since he can't write it out, I would think blinking's good enough, but I'm not sure.
well,
And
there's accommodations, and
I would
that
think.
would be one. And it would be very simple. Drew, do you want me to write this letter for you? No? Okay, bye. You're
Right. No,
still,
I
you
don't
still have
want
your
her.
seat.
I
Right.
don't want her to take over my seat. Anyway, legal guardianship declaration. If the stroke has left him entirely incapacitated and unable to communicate, you would likely need to work with an elder law attorney to establish court ordered legal guardianship or obtain a judicial determination of incapacity to legally handle their affairs and formally step them down from the public office. Once the resignation is officially filed, the governor of New York is responsible for calling a special election to fill the seat. According to the state law, the governor will issue a proclamation, and the special election would take place between 40 and 50 days from the date of the proclamation. The April 1st exception under New York law, it's a special election, will not be held if the vacancy occurs on or after April 1st of the final year of their legislative term, which that wouldn't have happened with Drew because he
I
was
thought that
still
was going to be
pretty
like,
new.
it's not going to happen because of an April Fool's Day joke,
Right.
but it's
We
not.
have to wait
It's
till
just,
it's the second. No.
no.
And then, unlike standard New York elections, special elections to fill legislative vacancies do not have a public primary voting process. So the county committee vote, the candidates are chosen behind closed doors. The local county committee members of the political party who live within your spouse's specific district line would hold the meeting. You must aggressively lobby these local committee members to vote for you as the nominee. In New York, local committees are historically highly sympathetic to the spouses of ill or deceased legislators due to name recognition, continuity of the platform, and existing donor networks. The ballot placement, once the committee votes and submits a certificate of nomination, your name is placed directly onto the special election ballot. And then again, the same requirements should need to be a U.S. citizen, resident in New York for at least 5 years, and a resident of that specific district that she wants to be in for at least 12 months. And then it asks, because again, when I was doing it through Google, it asked for more information because if it is the first or second year matters as far as how that election goes forward. Knowing if it's the first or second year would dictate whether a special election can happen immediately or if you have to wait for the standard November cycle. So I don't know.
So
I
if it
feel
had
like I'm
happened
kind
April
of
2nd, she would not have been able to do this
right.
because he's in his second year.
Yeah. I think he's in his second year.
I think so.
So again, there was some stuff that I was like, okay, like his name does carry some clout and she knows the same people and all that kind of stuff, but you don't just get to walk into office the next day and be like, I'm his wife, I'm taking over, and then be like,
Right.
okay, done, which is pretty much what Willow did.
Yeah. Because I thought that there was something that they did, like Laura approved it, or Laura talked to the governor and the governor approved it, or something like that.
True.
They did say something.
They did
but,
talk to some higher ups, but it looks like there should have been some more paperwork being filled out.
and maybe that's how it's done in California, but it's not how it's done in New York.
Right.
So and you looked at the specifics for New York.
Yes.
So then we move on to Chase, because right now Chase came to us as a detective and has recently been demoted back down into patrolman because of his interference in the Willow's trial. And now she wants to apologize and help him have a more stable
Right.
home life and hire him as her chief of staff.
Right. And I double checked this several times because I was like, maybe it's not chief of staff. Maybe what she's saying is head of my security or
Right.
something else, because that would make sense. And I don't feel like that progression over to that role would be so far fetched. But every single article says no, she's making him the chief of staff.
We kept double guessing ourselves when we were talking
Right?
about this. It's like, oh,
Right.
maybe it wasn't actually. No, it is.
But nope, it is chief of staff. So this is what you need for chief of staff.
Yeah. Harrison Chase he's currently at the Port Charles Police Department, but he's considering an offer from Willow, his ex-wife, who is currently sitting in her husband's congressional seat.
Right.
That she shot and then injected into a stroke. So the political career move gives him better pay and avoids dangerous overnight shifts, so he can be a more active father, because they're hoping to adopt Phoebe. And Chase's background is, and see, this is the one that I would have thought would be the most likely.
Mm-hmm. No, that's a big position. It is very much, as you read.
But I just mean the fact that he's already in law enforcement. I feel like this one would have been the more natural transition.
If it would have been just security, like we were saying, head of security, whatever, that it wouldn't have been that easy. But as you're reading through this and all the things that your chief of staff does, I don't know where she thinks he's going to get this experience, but go ahead.
So his background is law enforcement and investigation. He served as a respected detective for the PCPD and previously for the Boston Police Department. I would well, no, we can't do that anymore to him, because the Boston PD is kind of they've gotten themselves in some trouble.
Yeah.
But it would be interesting if Chase were ever called to help clarify some of that stuff. His ability to handle investigations, review legal parameters, and navigate city operations and translates well into an administrative and policy work required at the congressional level. That's where my mind was, is he's good with policy. He's good with knowing how that thought process happens, his by the book reputation, but he just seems to be reading the wrong book. He is known as one of Port Charles' most straightforward, straight as an arrow, rule-abiding officers, and Chase is trusted to handle sensitive information, manage crisis responses, and maintain the integrity of Congresswoman Cain's office. And in crisis management, his extensive history of dealing with Port Charles crime families, hostage situations, and undercover work. Has he ever done undercover? Or is it just assumed that a detective would be,
I think it's assumed,
in a position?
Right.
Prepares him to handle political adversaries and high-pressure governmental disputes. I know that I'm getting into why it's not going to work, but that's pretty much everything of, that's why I would think, sure, why not? But to become a chief of staff for a state lawmaker in any United States state, you need a background that balances senior management, which being a detective is not, campaign leadership, and local government navigation. So Dante would actually probably be better suited for this now that he's been a commissioner. While federal roles focus heavily on national policy, state-level chief of staffs are primarily operational leaders. Their job is to keep the lawmaker popular at home while advancing their agenda in the state capitol. A competitive general background requires the following elements: political campaign leadership. State legislators run for election frequently, every 2 years, and because of this, lawmakers almost always select a chief of staff with a strong political background. She does not have. And even because his mom's a journalist and Gregory was a professor, so it's not even like he's grown up in that field. So he would either have been a campaign manager or a field director.
Right.
The state legislative pipeline, most chief of staffs are internal promotions. They build their backgrounds by holding entry or mid-level roles within a state legislature first, such as a legislative director / policy advisor. So researching bills, tracking committee votes, advising lawmakers on how to vote on state laws, or a district director and constituent service manager. Like that would be something I could see him do. Like,
Right, there's definitely a lower position for him. It just, you
the
can't jump
constituent
to the
service
top.
manager, I feel like he would do good. So running the lawmaker's local home office. This background proves that you can handle local voter complaints, manage community outreach, and build relationships with local mayors and city councils. I think that would be great for him. And who would actually make a really good policy advisor? Brooklyn. So they could just work together.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, how mad would Willow be if he suggested that?
That's all about, but that, if I understood that correctly, I mean, it's kind of like advising, so. Yeah.
Right.
Professional and academic profile. While state legislative offices rarely have hard educational mandates, your academic and professional history must demonstrate high-level writing and critical thinking, which he's a police officer. Like, we're going to let him, yes. But so you would either have an undergraduate, such as political science, public administration, communications, or business, valued professional degrees, or like a JD, Master of Public Administration. So something legal and private sector pivot. If you're coming from outside politics, a background in corporate operations, project management, or public relations can translate well if you can prove your transferable management skills, maybe like running a record label or a beauty company. Ooh, I would love, I want that. I want that so bad for Brooklyn.
So good.
You know what? We're going over this thing and Chase is like, I can't do that. I can't do that, but I can.
Right.
And then just some general core competencies, regardless of the state. An effective state legislative chief of staff background must show mastery in 3 general areas: personal and budget management. You'll be responsible for the hiring, firing, and training of a small team, often 3 to 8 people, and managing the office's taxpayer-funded operational budget. We haven't really seen him be a leader.
Yeah, I don't know that he could fire people. Once they whined at him, he would be like, they didn't mean to. We're going to keep them on.
Right. Dual office operations. You must possess the logistical skills to manage a split team. Part of your staff will be at the state capitol handling legislation, while the other part is in the home districts handling voters. And then crisis and media relations, which Brooklyn would be.
Right.
Serving as the primary gatekeeper for the lawmaker, you must know how to draft press releases, handle local media inquiries, and manage political damage control. I want Brooklyn to take this job from him.
Right. I really do. I love that idea. She has so much more qualifications than her husband.
That would be great because also she's trying to apologize to Willow and, the whole keep your enemies closer type of thing.
Right. I like that twist. They should definitely go with that.
This was fun though. Yeah.
It was fun. And I'm glad that we were a little bit wrong because some of them I was really like, there's no way they can have that job. But with the right circumstances, it's not completely impossible. But I wish they did talk about these other requirements a little bit more to explain why they're still a good fit, even though they don't possess that, or remind us where they do possess those skills from, because sometimes they're pulling it from background that we've never been informed of.
So in order of the most likely, Drew is the most likely. Probably then actually followed by Kristina, then Lulu.
Right. That's what I was saying, is these two are the least
then Chase,
likely.
Then Willow, and then Nathan, because he was dead.
He was dead. Yep. Nathan is the most.
You can't come back from that. Although, no. There are ways for him to come back, though. I would actually put him before Lulu or before Willow.
I think it depends on how you're ranking it. If you're saying possibility, he could come back. He just needs to follow those steps.
Right.
Him having the position straight out of the gate the way that he does.
Absolutely no. But for him to eventually get back to where he is right now.
Right.
It's like he did it once. He could definitely do it again, but it would just take a while. But to be where they are straight out the gate, no, he would definitely be the last. But he would probably, isn't that funny? He would be last because of that, but actually he would probably be right above Lulu in terms of the most realistic. He has the most realistic outcome.
Right. except for it's Cassius, not Nathan. And so he doesn't really have any of those certifications. Right. So he shouldn't be allowed to do any of it.
And there's that. So we're back down to the bottom. But if it were Nathan, actually came back to, and why didn't we add Britt to this?
Because we need a part 2 for another day.
All right. So let's do part 2. Part 2 will be Nina, Britt. Who else did we just say?
I think that was all you've done so far. But I feel like Carly would be in there too, because Carly doesn't have.
Right. Because Sunny got her deception, and Jax did teach her restaurant management.
But she wasn't as hands-on as she should have been.
No. And she doesn't have like a business background and I love her, but I'm going to say Laura as mayor.
Okay. Yeah. I will check it out.
Yeah. I just added them to the bottom of this paper so we don't forget.
Perfect. I'm glad you did that. Or you'd be getting a late night text of who'd we say?
Yep. Come on. There has to be one more. Well, why don't we just do Maxie? Also, throw her in there because...
Oh, yeah, that would work.
Although we know how she did. Because she started off as an assistant to Kate, she worked her way up through Crimson. Nina didn't value her, and so she took the job with deception because she got recruited away.
Do we know where Olivia came from? Like what her background was?
I don't know.
We don't, because I obviously don't. But I'm asking you.
Throw her in there and see where she...
Where she lands? All right.
Yeah. What's Ned doing now?
He's still with ELQ.
Is he?
Yeah.
Okay.
He'll always be ELQ.
Well, no, because remember they tried to vote him out.
I know, but he always comes back to ELQ.
Might as well throw Michael in there too.
Okay.
And Curtis. Here, we're just going to make a...
Start with those 3 or 4 parts, but that's okay.
Start with those. Between that and going back and forth between Sorassing and how do they have the job that they have?
Summer of nonsense.
Yes. With Valentine in the middle, because we're doing Valentine in July, because it'll be its 10-year anniversary. Okay. So join us on Monday as we recap this week's shows.
Have a good weekend.
And we'll meet you at the pier.
Bye.
Bye.
If you enjoyed today's show, we invite you to go to pier54podcast.com to subscribe on your favorite platform. Don't forget to leave us a review.
And you can also follow us on many social media channels. Just search for Pier 54 Podcast. Also, we are not perfect, so if there's something that we missed or messed up, just let us know by emailing us at pier54podcast@gmail.com.